Hello dear, I'm Alex David Pratt, the founder of the Scribes Press. We're a company that is devoted to promoting knowledge by cultivating a reading culture and also assisting publishers and authors to express their ideas in the most efficient and fruitful way possible. And today, I would be doing a book review on The Science of Getting Rich. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles dates as far back as 1910. And it's not your typical finance book where you'd have topics such as budgeting, investing, or side hustles being discussed. No. Instead, the central idea behind the whole book is that thought is the only power that can produce tangible riches from the formless substance of the universe. So firstly, Mr. Wallace does makes it clear that in order for us to fully maximize all that we can have and be in life, we need wealth. We need to be rich because we need resources or things in order to become the fullest version of ourselves. And if we're not rich, there's no way we can access the resources that can enable us to become more, to do more, and to access greater dimensions of life. So Mr. Wallace makes it clear that a desire to be rich is not a bad one. It's simply the inner capacity or capability that you have of accessing greater dimensions of life that is seeking expression when you want to be rich. But in order to be rich, he does explain that there's a science to it. That is to say, there's an exact formula or system or methodology of going about in attaining that wealth. He calls it a certain way because he noticed that wealth, unlike how we previously think about it, being perhaps attributed to things such as your environment or some of the unfair advantages you have in life, he made it clear that the mere fact that people in different environments can succeed regardless of the circumstances proves that it's not your environment or your location that matters in wealth creation. Anybody anywhere can become prosperous. And he also made it clear that different people in certain industries earn based on not necessarily what profession they're into, but because of them doing things a certain way. He then emphasizes a lot on doing things a certain way. And in order for you to do things a certain way, you have to think a certain way. He introduces the concept which underlies the entire book, which is that all of the universe is made up of a formless substance. And that substance is a thinking stuff. It's the thinking, formless stuff that makes up everything. And if we're able to simply think of things that we want, the image that is within those thoughts would be created by this formless substance. And that is where he introduces the concept of the creative versus the competitive plane. The creative plane talks about wealth creation through means that are innovative and through means that are not selfish or are not more or less competitive. And he talks about how the universe is abundant, that there's actually not a scarcity of wealth. And that mindset is what fuels everything else he talks about in the book. For instance, he said, you have to be clear on what it is exactly you want. Because in order for you to act or do things a certain way, you need to think a certain way. So it starts from your mind, identifying a particular goal, a financial goal, maybe an amount that you want to attain. And it should be clear. It should be distinct what exactly it is you want. And if you believe for it and you thank the divine being that, or the formless substance that is infinite, if you express gratitude or you're grateful for it, you would actually see a manifestation of that thing that you are believing and desiring for. And that is part of the core message throughout the book. Because The Science of Getting Rich is not a book that gets into all the details of how even some of the conclusions were made. In fact, it's quite interesting that he does make it clear that in order to actuate the results that the book provides, you need to work by faith. That is to say, you need to just believe in the laws without totally understanding it and acting it out, because it's a pragmatical book and not a theoretical or philosophical one. So all in all, it's a very, very good book. It's highly recommended. And if one takes the book seriously and the principles therein, results are inevitable, especially because it's proven. It's just like mathematics. 2 + 2 would always give you 4. So that would be it for the book.